Hello and welcome to Clash of the Dice. I'm James, and this is a series of videos in which I look at an Age of Sigmar model kit in the context of the game Warcry. So by that I mean I'm going to look at which books you'll need in order to use that kit in a game of Warcry, what you actually get in the box, and what fighters you can build from the contents, and then a judgment as to whether or not I think it's good value for money for Warcry. In this episode, we're going to be looking at a kit which, on the face of it, might not seem terribly exciting, but I think it's actually quite an interesting kit. It's the Stormcast Eternals Sequitors. The rules for the Sequitors can be found in the Sentinels of Order book. You will of course need access to a copy of the core rules, and the Tome of Champions updated a lot of the points costs across all factions, but you can go on to the list building tools on the Warhammer community website and use the Warcry Varenscribe page, which has got all of the updated and current points costs for every single unit that is usable in Warcry. As with quite a lot of the Age of Sigmar kits, in the box you get two sets of 2 sprues, so the same 2 sprues duplicated, 4 sprues in total, from which you can make a total of 10 Stormcast Eternal Sequitors. And this for me is where it gets interesting. It's the models you can build from this kit. So which models can you make? Well, you've got 3 leader options you can make. You can make Sequitor Prime with Tempest Blade and Soul Shield, Sequitor Prime with Stormsmite Maul and Soul Shield, or a Sequitor Prime with a Redemption Cache. Now, the reason I think that's interesting is because those are the 3 leaders you can make. There's sufficient parts in the box to make 4 Sequitor Primes. So you can make all 3 of those. You get parts for 2 male primes and 2 female primes. So you could, if you wanted to, make all 3. Now, which one you make, arguably, yeah, it's not something to get terribly excited about because they're all variations on a theme. But there's very few kits out there that allow you to make 4 leaders. So yeah, for me that's why I think it's interesting. So how do they differ? Well, the Sequitor Prime with a Tempest Blade and Soul Shield gets more attacks at lower strength. The Sequitor Prime with the Stormsmite Maul and the Soul Shield gets fewer attacks but higher strength. But the Sequitor Prime with Redemption Cache is basically the same as the one with the Maul and the Stormsmite Shield, but it also gets an extra ability because of that Redemption Cache. It deals damage to all enemies within 3 inches equal to the value of the ability. Now that's pretty powerful, so obviously it's a quad, so you're not going to be using it very often, but when you want to use it, that's pretty powerful. For other fighters, you can make a Sequitor with a Tempest Blade and a Soul Shield, a Sequitor with a Stormsmite Maul and a Soul Shield, and a Sequitor with a Stormsmite Great Mace, and you get enough parts to make 4 with the Great Mace. Again, variations on a theme, but not a bad mix, because again, some have got better attacks at lower strength, some have got fewer attacks higher strength, and that Great Mace has got obviously fewer attacks but a decent strength as well. In terms of value for money, it's another one of those. It's not bad and it's not great, but I think it's quite thematic if you just want to tell the story of one particular Sequitor retinue, and ultimately that's what Warcry is about. It's taking a small group and telling their story. You get 10 models, 3 leader options, but parts for 4, so you can build all 3 of those. 3 different general warband fighter types. Again, they're all variations on a theme, but sufficient models for several of each. And if you build all of the options, it's still possible, if you do it carefully, to still have a rules legal unit of 5 models for Age of Sigmar, if you want to do Age of Sigmar as well. In terms of points values, the minimum points values for this box is 1,555, so that is using one of the 2 cheap primes and one of the 2 cheap general Sequitors. The Great Mace are more expensive than the other 2. The Prime with the Redemption Cache is more expensive than the other 2. So again, potential for more than that 1555 points, and again that's using the Tome of Champions 2021 points values. Now it's currently not a GW Direct only kit, so you can still buy it from other retailers, and obviously then you're likely to get it at a discount. You can probably get quite a few of them on eBay as well, in the easy to build versions which are now out of production, and they are monopose sculpts, and the first time Joshua and I went to Warhammer World, they had a competition on how many of these things could you build in, I can't remember if it was 45 minutes or an hour, and yeah, we basically ran out because we were building them so quick. But that was the easy to build ones, not the ones from this particular box. I digress. So yeah, it's currently not a GW only kit, but I wouldn't be surprised if it very quickly goes that way because of the new Extremis Stormcasts that are being introduced now. So just like the Liberators, I think, are now a GW only kit, GW Direct only kit, I wouldn't be surprised if Sequitors and the other Sacrosanct models very quickly go that way. I do have a soft spot for the Sacrosanct Chamber because they were the Stormcast that were around when I first got into Age of Sigmar, not long after 2nd edition was released. So they are my Stormcasts. I do have a soft spot for them, and I do intend to add some of these to my collection. In terms of the models themselves, they're relatively new sculpt, so good detail, and they're Stormcast Eternals, so they're relatively easy to paint, although those robes can be tricky on Sacrosanct models, such as getting between the legs if you want to do the back of the robe a different colour to the front facing of the robe. But on the whole, Stormcast Eternal, relatively easy to paint. So yeah, you might not think it's a great kit, but for me, I find it interesting simply because it's unusual to be able to get 4 leader models out of a standard Age of Sigmar kit. Yes, they're variations on a theme, but nevertheless, I think it's quite thematic. I want to tell the story of a Sequitor retinue in Warcry, so for me, this is a good kit. I like it. But thank you very much for watching. Please continue to like, comment and subscribe. And again, if there's a kit that you would like me to review in this way for you, please do let me know in the comments below and I'll look to getting it done. Until next time, God bless.